A very warm welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to the Redemptorist Friendship Circle, a podcast by the Redemptorist community of the Vice Province of Malaysia and Singapore. In this podcast, we talk about everything Redemptorist. We introduce you to the Redemptorists around the world, and we talk about interesting and current topics in and around the Catholic Church. I am Terence, a Redemptorist here, serving in Novena Church in Singapore, and a host of the podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Gerard. I'm also a Redemptorist, and I'm based in the Nalla Road community, which is the Porcellancy House, the formation house off Upper East Coast Road in Singapore. And thanks for coming along.
Okay, so for some of our listeners, you will realize that for Gerard has been away for a couple of months or a few months, and he's finally back here in Singapore. So a very warm welcome to you, Gerard, for coming back to Singapore.
Yeah, thanks, Terence. It certainly is a very warm welcome. Actually, just from the background, you wouldn't know where I am actually. But I'm back in Singapore. I've been away for over 5 months. A wonderful time that I had in the Oblate School of Theology in San Antonio.
Okay, and how has your experience been?
It was a wonderful experience. It's a very good school. The sabbatical program is very good. So there's a mixture of academic lessons where we can go back to theology class, study with seminarians and other postgraduate students, learning the latest stuff because the last time we were in the seminary, but for you, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. For me, it's 20 years ago. So it's wonderful to reconnect with some of that and also to mix around with seminarians, religious from all over the world, postgraduate students from around the world, and diocesan seminarians from some of the dioceses of Texas.
Okay, so maybe if I want to ask, if you have one greatest insight of your this few months of sabbatical, what would that be?
Well, it was really a search to grow in myself, to be more life-giving to others, and also to seek life for myself. So I think I come back with a renewed energy and a different perspective.
All right. So I'm sure we'll see a lot more of Gerard, and hopefully in the future, when we have chance, we can talk a little bit more of your experience during this time in Texas. But
Absolutely.
today we have a very interesting guest with us, so I do not want to let him wait for too long. But I just want to use this opportunity to inform our listeners on some of the structural change here in the podcast. So after a couple of episodes, and we finally trying to get things in order, we have decided to do a little bit of changes. From now on, if you are seeing this podcast from the video format, which is you are watching it from YouTube, you will realize that the introduction and the final conclusion part, it is not recorded at the same time with the actual interview itself. The reason why is that we want to make our podcast current so that we will have the introduction and the ending recorded just a few days before the podcast is being released. But sometimes because of the schedule of our interviewee, we need to pre-record the interview way ahead of time. So that is how we're just going to slightly make the changes. But we try to make the whole podcast as seamless as possible. So with that being said, perhaps we can very quickly just introduce to you today a very wonderful Redemptorist that is from the Vice Province of Manila. He was actually one of my classmates, a very close friend of mine, and his father, RJ, and he's also currently the head of our shrine over there in Manila. But you'll hear all of this in the podcast itself. All right. So
Rico John Bilangel.
Yes. So without further ado, we are just gonna let you hear the podcast for now. All right, dear friends, let us put our hands together and welcome our guest today, Fr Rico John Bilangel. So, Fr Rico John, whom we more affectionately know as Father RJ, so I'll call him Father RJ from now on, is actually currently the rector of our national shrine of our Mother of Perpetual Help in Philippines, or I think the place is more famously known as Baclaran Church. All right.
Yes, correct.
So Father RJ is our Redemptorist over there in the Manila Vice Province. For perhaps just for our listeners, especially those in Singapore, you might not know, the Manila Vice Province is actually the sister province of the Malaysia and Singapore Vice Province. So we are actually very close. We have a Novena Church here in Singapore, and they have a very, very big shrine, which is known as Baclaran Church. I will ask Father RJ to talk a little bit more about it later on. But firstly, maybe just a little introduction of Father RJ. Father, we were quite close. Father RJ came 1 year after me in the novitiate, and then we were most of the years we were together in the seminary. And if you see Father RJ, this very young, talented person. He is really talented because Father RJ is a very wonderful musician. And I remember during our seminary years, there was a year where we need to produce a whole musical, and Father RJ was the one who wrote all the music for the musical. So perhaps later on, we can put in our show notes the link to this musical. Maybe we can, I think it is on YouTube, right?
Is it available? I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's
Anyway,
still
we're
there.
fine. If we can find it, we're
Okay,
going to
yeah.
put it in our show notes so that people can see this wonderful production that we had when we were still students. And also, a couple of years back, just before COVID, I had the wonderful opportunity to work with Father RJ and another of our confrere, Father JM. The three of us, we planned the youth gathering in Indonesia, in Yogyakarta, and that was really, really fun. I will show some photos. And this year, finally, after the fruits of that particular gathering, we will
Yes.
have kind of a Asia Oceania youth gathering, which sadly all of us are no more involved, but it is very fun. Anyway, so RJ, can you give us a little bit of introduction of yourself, and maybe also not too long, in a brief manner, tell us a little bit of your vocation story. How do you come to get to know the Redemptorists and decided to be one of us?
Yeah, so actually I first met the Redemptorists when I was about to graduate in high school. That was in 2002. So there was a brother who came to our school and giving some vocation input and about the Redemptorists. And to make the very long story short, I got interested and I tried searching in this congregation. And eventually, I started my seminary formation year on 2003. So basically, I had my college formation in the Redemptorist Seminary. So in 2008, I entered the novitiate after high school, college formation, and then was professed as a temporary member of the Redemptorist Vice Province of Manila the following year, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So I was ordained as a priest 2015. So 9 years
Yeah.
ago.
Okay. All
And
right.
as a professed Redemptorist, 15 years.
All right.
So,
So, sorry for interjecting. Did you consider joining any other congregation before
well,
deciding on the Redemptorists?
during the time, there were also other congregations who were doing their own, vocation campaign. So I
Mm-hmm.
took exams as well in some of these congregations, but I did not know why I eventually chose to join the Redemptorists. No? That was the
Okay.
first encounter for me,
At
first time to know about the Redemptorists.
and after years of being with the Redemptorists, have you found the answer? Why did you finally decided to dedicate your life to the Redemptorist?
I think that will still be a lingering question,
Okay.
because probably once I have found out the real answer, I might probably rest in peace. But
Okay.
the point I think now for me is I am happy and I found a sense of meaning and
Mhm.
fulfillment in the Redemptorist vocation. So far, after 15 years as a Redemptorist and 9 years as priest, I still feel that this has been, the right call ever since.
Yeah. So just for the listeners, Father RJ is holding, I think, a lot of quite important positions. So maybe you want to let us know what exactly are you doing over there right now? Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, aside from being the superior of the Redemptorist Baclaran community and director of the National Shrine of Our Mother Perpetual Health, I am also the vicar,
Mm-hmm.
and then also the convener for our Commission on Media and Communication, and some other little things that are being asked of as part of the mission in the congregation, especially here in the Vice Province as well.
Okay.
So basically, this is my second time to be in Baclaran
All right.
because right after my ordination, I was already assigned here for 4 years. Then
Mm-hmm.
I was moved to the northern part of the Philippines in Lawag in a mission community, and after that, 2 years ago, I was reassigned here as a rector, which is quite a heavy load to take.
Yeah. So again, for our listeners, so as a rector of the National Shrine, it is very similar to the rector here in Novena Church. So our listeners might remember Father Eugene. The role of Father Eugene is very similar to what Father RJ is doing
Correct.
right now as a rector. And he said that he's also the vicar, means he is something like the vice president,
Yeah,
yeah, in the big
something like that. Yeah.
corporation. Yes. So he holds two very important portfolio. And you mentioned that you are in this community and before you were in Lawag. So just a very quick question: how many communities are there in the Vice Province of Manila?
At the moment, there are 5 Redemptorist communities here. First one is here in Baclaran, and then we have one in Lipa, that's in
Mm-hmm.
the
That's a
southern Luzon
novitiate.
area,
That's where all
where
of
the
us
novitiate is also there.
went there to decide that we finally want to become a Redemptorist. And
Yes. And then one in Legazpi, Albay,
uh-huh. Is
that's in the
is there
southern
any
part of the main
specific
island.
kind of ministry that you all do in Legazpi?
Basically, Legazpi community is a mission community as well. So we
Okay.
do popular missions in rural areas because
All right.
basically the area is within a not so
Okay.
much like a metro, but in the outskirts of the provinces.
All
So
right.
we recently have just finished one mission there, and
Okay.
then we also have one community in the northern Philippines. Uh, the community is in Lawag, Ilocos Norte, but right now we have adopted like a mission parish
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in Ifugao.
Okay.
So if you know the Banawi Rice Terraces, when we had our joint youth mission
Yes. Yes. Uh,
in Balbalan, Kalinga.
Kalinga. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Kalinga, that's
Yes. Yes. It's
a
very close
province
by there.
beside that.
Okay. All right.
So, and then of course our formation community in here in Manila, which is in Mariposa, Saint Clement
Okay.
Formation Community.
All right.
Basically, we have 5 communities in the Vice Province
All
of
right.
Manila.
All right. So before we go into the specific work and the different details of these communities, maybe we focus a little bit on the National Shrine, which is Baclaran Church. So you are the rector there, and for many of us here in Singapore, we think that novena is very vibrant. There's a lot of people that comes here. We have lots of novenas on Saturday, but you have not seen what it really means to be a big shrine for our Mother of Perpetual Help. So, Father RJ, do tell us a little bit about the Baclaran Church and what is happening over there.
Yeah, so Baclaran Church, as it is, famously called, is the National Shrine of Our Mother Perpetual Help. This is also where the first Redemptorist community was established. They first settled in a parish community in Malate, an old church as well, but eventually moved to Baclaran. This used to be like a fishing village. When they came to the Philippines, they have already brought the icon. So
Mhm.
they put it here in Manila. So in
Okay.
1948, the first novena in Baclaran took place.
Mhm.
The first novena session was only about 70 people in attendance. But
Mhm.
in a matter of weeks, people started to come, and then eventually from one sessions they have to add more sessions of novena, and then because the chapel was so small, they have to build a bigger one.
Mhm.
And then of course the devotion continue to flourish, so they have to build another new church, which is now the third church, which is the current church, which is around 100 meters long.
Yeah, it's a huge
uh,
church.
yeah, it has a sitting capacity of 2,000 and standing capacity of around 9,000. So inside the church, probably 11,000 people.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it has been claimed that this is the biggest church dedicated to our Mother Perpetual Help.
Yep.
So yeah, up until now, devotees would flock, especially on a Wednesday. It
Mhm.
would probably number 100 to 150,000 every Wednesday.
Each
And yeah,
Wednesday, about
the whole
100 to
Wednesday. Yeah.
250,000. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Another interesting thing about our Baclaran Church is this is open 24 hours, like a
Mhm.
convenience store, no?
Yeah.
It never closes.
Yes. 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 That's
So
very good.
people can freely come depending on their availability and their time. The church is
Mhm.
always open. So it's like
Yeah.
we have a little privilege that this church is always open.
Mhm. Yeah, so that is very wonderful. In that sense, because I was privileged to visit the place and I served there during Holy Week as a deacon.
Yes.
That that sense of so many people wanting to come to pray to our Mother of Perpetual Help. Do you sense, or throughout these years, have you ever talked to the people to ask them why is it, or what is the thing that draws them to this novena devotion? Why is it so popular?
We have this unique practice here in Baclaran where devotees would write letters of petitions and thanksgiving. And in those letters, which we usually read every Tuesday before lunch as a community act of penance, we read all of these letters.
Mm-hmm.
And they would basically not just tell you about the grace that they have received. They will also tell you the stories of their own devotion. And for most of them, they have been coming here ever since they have known the devotion to our Mother Perpetual Help, because they have found like a place of peace, a refuge for whatever concerns they have. And for them, Mother Mary is really like, our very own mother who would, listen to them, who would talk to them even in their silence. And this piety of the people would actually come from their own experience of how it is to be loved by a mother and how it is to be drawn to Jesus because of that devotion. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if we put, like a common theme of why they have been so devoted to our Mother Perpetual Help, it is this. It is these two things: their closeness to Mary and Mary's closeness to them as their mother, and Mary's desire for them to be led to Jesus, which
Mm-hmm.
is our perpetual help.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that is how I think most of the devotees would share their own experiences, and sometimes talking to them, and even in unholy hours, like in the evening. Sometimes when I stay there praying, or midnight, or even past midnight. Some of them would tell us that here in this place in Baclaran, it is like a safe space for them where they
Mhm.
can just sit and gaze on the icon, pray,
Yeah.
especially
It,
when they have like difficult burdens to carry.
it feels very similar to the experience of many of the devotees here. In fact, I think
Yeah.
whatever that you have described, I can use it to describe the experiences of people who have come here. Maybe one thing that is slightly different for our devotees here is that I think we do attract a little bit more people from different faiths. So we
Yeah.
have people who are non-Catholic, who are non-Christian, that they still feel very comfortable in coming, and they share very similar sentiment, that closeness to our mother. And of course, for some of them, they start to get to know Jesus a bit more after that experience. And some of them, of course, they decided finally to say that, okay, I would like to know Jesus a little bit more.
Yeah.
They join the RCIA classes, they get baptized, so on and so forth. Just a quick question. Do you all see people from other faith coming to Baclaran?
Yeah, actually, it has also been like a place for some other religion. Like all around the Baclaran Church are Muslim vendors.
Oh,
And
okay,
some
yeah.
of them, or even for most of them, they would be very comfortable walking around the
Yes, yes,
church.
yes.
And some other uh, like religion, like there are some Buddhists as well who would come and visit, because there are many like other nationalities here around the Metro Manila. So aside from being like a national shrine, this place has also been declared as like a heritage site of the government.
Okay,
So
all right.
for tourism and cultural reasons, they would also visit here. Then eventually, some of them would pray. And there was this interesting letter way back when like a Muslim was looking for, I think his child, and then for quite a long time he lost contact to
Okay.
the son, and
Uh-huh.
then so he would keep coming back here, even though probably he's not actually really praying, but he would just visit here, and eventually uh, this is where he met his son again,
Oh my.
and then so
His
he
son
wrote,
came for the devotion also?
yeah, I think
Oh,
so. So
okay. All right.
and if he was like non-Christian, he wrote a letter of thanksgiving and
Oh,
sent
wow.
it here to our Mother Perpetual. So
Oh,
there are
that's
many stories as well of
mm,
interfaith connections that happens here.
yeah. So those are, in a way, the similarities that we can find between Novena Church and Baclaran Church. But one thing that I find a little bit different, and that is something that I really hope that we can grow here in Novena Church, is that I think Baclaran Church is also a place that is very conscious of the social reality, and you all respond very well to the social needs. You all have created a lot of programs that respond to the needs of the people. So perhaps you can share with us a little bit, beside just the devotion, what are some of the things that you all do in Baclaran Church as a way to respond to the needs of the people?
Yeah. Knowing that the Philippines is of course not so advanced in terms of many things, economy, other infrastructure, etc. So there are quite a number of poor families and individuals, and because of the nature of our shrine as being open to anybody, there are those who would come here bringing not just their prayers but their needs, physical needs. And so eventually we have the shrine mission has evolved beyond the devotion aspect. So we have at the moment the social mission programs here in the shrine. So what are the social mission programs? All of these programs were born out of the needs from the people.
Yeah.
Like there are those who would come here for medical and dental assistance. So we eventually have established the medical and dental services, which
Okay.
aside from catering to walk-in clients, we also do medical missions in partnership with other Redemptorist communities or urban poor, rural poor communities. So we do medical missions as well.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from the medical and dental, we also have the what we call the crisis intervention center. This is for walk-in clients. There are those who would need, food, so we provide food. There are those who would need, transportation going back to provinces, so we provide financial assistance,
Mm-hmm.
and even funeral assistance for those whose loved ones have died, and for some reasons they cannot, afford to have a decent, burial for their
Mm-hmm.
family. So we also cater to some funeral assistance.
Okay.
So the crisis intervention center is basically for some walk-in clients, but we also have a more established programs for scholarship for the youth. The Redemptorist Educational Assistance Program. This is to cater to young people who really desire to be educated, but their families have no access, no finances to support them. So we have established our scholarship program. And we also have the migrant center because our church is very near the airport, the seaport, terminals. So many are also passing by before they go to another countries, other countries to work, or from other countries passing by here. And some of them would have like serious concerns like abuses in their workplace or family concerns, but they are away. So we have the migrant center to help them and
Hmm.
assist them even for some legal concerns. And we also have the St. Gerard Family Counseling.
Wow.
So our church is also famous here for our sacrament of reconciliation, as most of
Mm-hmm.
our Redemptorist
Yeah.
communities are.
Yeah.
So, but most of them or some of them would go to confession, but their needs are also beyond confessional matters, like problems in the family, relationships, addictions, other concerns. So we have the counseling center
Mm-hmm.
to help them as well process their own journey. So that's the St. Gerard Family Life Center. And we also have the alternative learning system. There are those who have not been to school in their like old age, but they still would want to study. So we offer alternative learning system in
Mm-hmm.
partnership with our like local Department of Education. So we have
Oh.
volunteer teachers. We offer a place for them. And then we also have like the skills training and livelihood for those who have not been to school, so they cannot find jobs. So we offer them technical skills like housekeeping, welding, basic automotive, uh, hairdressing, things like that, in order for them
Mm.
to be helped as well in their life. And we also have the Perpetual Help Women's Program. Again, this place is within the heart of the metro where prostitutions happen.
Wow.
And there are many women who have been into that reality just because they have no other options. So, in partnership with our missionary sisters, the Oblates of the Most Holy Redeemer, we also help the prostituted women and those and help them, and we connect them if they want to study. Then we offer a scholarship. If they want to learn skills, we have the skills training so that they will not go back to their old job. What else? Of course, we have the Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation. This is like a program as well that facilitates formation for social issues, things like that. And we also have the Solidarity Assistance Committee. This is like an immediate response team when there are typhoon. Of course, Philippines has always been visited by typhoon.
Yeah.
When there are fire victims, communities that needs assistance, so we also uh,
Wow.
provide help. And we also have the Center for Street Children, which used to
Okay.
be here but was moved to Lipa.
Okay.
So these are basically what we have as part of our social mission programs. And probably our listeners would wonder, where do they get the money to
Exactly. I was
sustain
just about to
to
ask.
sustain
Yeah.
all these
Yes.
programs? In the church, we have what we call the box for the poor. So
Mhm.
aside from the collections that they would give during the masses or novenas, we have the box for the poor, where they can just put whatever amount they can, and this the money would directly be
Go to this.
used to this
Okay.
for this program. So
Is it
yeah,
is it
so
enough
basically,
to sustain all the operations?
of course, not enough, but we also seek partnership. I mean,
Mhm.
look for organizations, like-minded organizations, to help us. And there are also donors, and of course, the income that the community can gather are also
Okay.
part of that. Will be for the social mission.
So it sounds like a very massive operation. So
Yes,
just
exactly.
curious, how many staff and how many volunteers do you have in a way that helps to run all these things to make it operational?
I think at the moment we have around 80 to 90
Wow,
full-time staff.
that
So
is that's huge.
so for every program for the social mission, we have one social worker that has
Okay.
to attend to make things smooth. So of course we have the shrine ministry, so we also have staff for that. The
Mhm.
social mission, we have staff for that, and the urban mission, we also have lay missionaries in charge of that. So around 80 to 90 full-time staff and volunteers. At the moment, we have around 500 volunteers from all across ministries, both the liturgical
Wow.
ministries and our even in the social mission programs. We also like have volunteers, volunteer doctors, nurses for the medical,
Hmm.
lawyers, counselors for the family life counseling, things like that.
Yeah, I feel a little bit shameful over here. We are just starting, but I think baby steps. We have just established a mission fund. Hopefully, this mission fund can help to propel us in really establishing a lot more of such social mission uh,
Mhm.
activities, and hopefully one day we can expand to your kind of scale and operation. I think that is very impressive. And so yeah, for our listeners, if any of you have ever have the chance to go to Philippines, especially Manila, never always take the opportunity to go and visit Baclaran Church. And of course, you can try to look for Father RJ. I'm sure he will be happy to show you around the place.
Every now
Anyways,
and then, we also get to have some donors from Singapore.
oh, really?
Like,
Okay, that's
yeah,
good.
like recently, like a few weeks ago, someone, a Singaporean, a young man, approached me, and he said, "I want to help.
All
How can
right,
I
that's
be of
very good.
help?"
Yeah.
So I asked him what particular help would he like to
Mm.
offer, and he said he wants to give an amount.
Mm-hmm.
So I directed it to our children's program, for our
Mm-hmm.
catechism for the street kids and for our children here. And so, yeah, every now and then we'll get to have some donors from other countries and from Singapore.
Yeah. Yep, that's wonderful. Now, perhaps we just go beyond Baclaran Church
Yeah.
for a period of time. Just now, you mentioned that you all have 5 communities all together, and you mentioned in one particular community you all focus on popular mission. Which community would that be?
Both Lipa,
Okay,
Lawag, and Ligaspi, I think.
okay,
All of these
Legazpi.
three communities, they have this popular mission.
All right.
What we do in popular mission is we go to parishes, preferably those which needs more attention because they have not been visited by priests for quite a long time. So
Mm-hmm,
we
mm-hmm.
have to rekindle the fire of Christianity
Yep,
in
yep,
those
yep.
areas.
Okay.
So what we do there, we spend time for preaching, thematic preaching, and then go visit families,
Mm-hmm.
organize their little communities, basic ecclesial communities, and hopefully eventually for them to be more vibrant and dynamic again, so that once they go back to their mother parish, then they are more, like rejuvenated.
I think it is actually very similar to what we do here as a parish mission, but of
Yeah.
course, because of the context, is a little bit different. Last time we also used to go to a particular parish. We spend a bit of time. We visit the parishioners there. Then we do sometimes a 9 days preach mission. We do a bit of formation session, so on and so forth. But I think over in Philippines, because of the number of Catholics that you all have and the number of parishes, and perhaps even though you all have a lot of priests around, there are still areas that is lacking of the pastoral attention. So you all go there to really help to rekindle this fire. And I do hope here in Singapore and Malaysia, we can also start some form of such popular mission. Once again, I think that's actually something that I'm very passionate about. I always find it such a joy to be in popular mission. So thank you very much. So maybe now also for us to understand a little bit with all these things happening, with all your communities, what do you see as some challenges that the Vice Province of Manila faces, and what are some of the opportunities, so the things that you see that is developing very well, but some also the difficulties that you are facing?
I think the first kind of challenge that we are facing is in terms of the personnel. The
Yeah.
vice province is, not a province. I think at the moment we have 38 members
That's
in the
way
vice
more
province.
than us.
But
Yeah.
not enough to cover all the things that we have
Yes,
to
exactly.
we
Yeah,
have
the
to do.
massive one.
So I think the challenge is, of course, the personnel, the number of personnel. So we have to like wear many hats,
Yep. Do you have
multitask.
many in formation? Do you have a good
At the
number in
moment,
formation?
we have two novices. We have 6 students
Mm-hmm.
and 11 in the college and young professional
Okay.
program, the pre-novitiate program. And next week, one will be ordained as a deacon.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's nice. So
Siegfried.
congratulations. And I think it's healthy. It seems like
Yeah.
you all are still having a very good batch of students that is coming
Mm.
up. And hopefully, if they all go through the formation, the Vice Province will actually grow in
Yeah.
numbers.
So few members, but the opportunity that is being presented here is, despite few were in numbers, we have many young converts.
Okay, that's
So
very good.
it's a joy that many young are members of the vice province, and so we have the energy, we have the passion, so we can
Yeah.
maximize this while we're still young.
Yes, exactly. I know quite a few of you,
Yeah.
and I always find the joy when we come together with some common projects. That energy of us, especially for us who came from the same formation program, we know each other very well. We know the strengths and the quirks of each other, and I think when we work together in that environment, it's always very fun, and I think it gives a lot of strength and energy for everyone to really work very well. So, yeah, it's really good that you all have that thing. So,
I
any
think another
yeah,
another challenge that I can see here in the vice province is, or not, but probably an opportunity. There is like a vibrant mission fields.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes,
the Philippines is basically 80% Catholics, but only nominal Catholics. Most of
okay,
them have yet to really understand the depth of the faith.
mm-hmm.
So I think there's still quite a good opportunity to preach the good news. And of
Yes,
course, not to mention the digital arena where we can also be redemptorist, like
mm-hmm.
this one, that what we're doing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
Mm-hmm.
very good, response to that opportunity.
Yes,
And another opportunity is the dynamic lay partnership that we have.
mm-hmm.
if not for the lay participation, I suppose this we will never be able to do what we have been doing, because like 80% of the workforce are from the lay. So we
Yes,
have
yes,
to really appreciate their involvement in the Redemptorist mission.
yes,
So the volunteers, the staff, our lay missionaries, sisters. So I
yeah,
think that's a good opportunity to
yeah.
to be thankful for.
So over here, we are also very aware of that, and therefore, I'm actually chairing the commission for partnership with the lay, and especially for our listeners, we are trying very hard
Yeah.
to strengthen that partnership with the lay and to really help the lay to be our partners, not just working on volunteering for us, but to really be a partner so that we can push more our redemptorist ministry and our redemptorist charism in all the works that we do. Yeah. So in a way, the more you describe everything, I find that really our vice province here in Malaysia and Singapore is very similar to you over there, the Vice Province
Yes,
of
yes,
Manila.
correct.
So that's why we are known as the sister provinces, the vice provinces.
I think
Yeah.
speaking of similarity, that could be like a great opportunity to for more collaboration, for more partnership. We have been together in formation. Why not also, collaborate more
Yes.
in terms of the
Exactly.
actual mission that we do?
Maybe next year we can invite you here to do a musical. I'm sure we can gather all
Oh,
the young
sure.
redemptorists and we plan a musical here. I think that will be very fun. Okay, maybe one last thing from your perspective. What would you advise, or what is some of the words that you would say to someone who is even having the slightest tinge of consideration of joining the Redemptorists, either there in the Philippines or
Yeah.
here in Malaysia or Singapore or anywhere else in the world?
To all of our listeners, there are many ways to find meaning in life. Different kinds of vocation, different charisms, but all equally beautiful and important. It will all depend on where you want to try. And for us here in the Redemptorist, this is our way of making our passion be directed to God's mission. So come and see. You know,
Yes.
if you are so sure about yourself, don't try the Redemptorist. This is not
Okay.
the place for those who have found already
So we
their
are a
place
place
in
for
the
the
world.
lost.
Yes, this is a place for the lost, for the last, and for the
At
least.
least. All right.
So if
Yeah.
you are so sure about yourself, don't try the Redemptorist. But if
Mhm.
you have doubts, if your mind is filled with questions about life, if something seems lacking in your life, if you are seeking for something more in your life than what you already have, if you're open for surprises from God,
Mm.
come and see, and you
Great.
might probably find your place in the world here
Mhm.
with us.
All right.
Come and
Yes.
see and fall in love with the
And for you,
Redemptorists.
RJ, specifically, what do you think is the most endearing charism of the redemptions? What makes us special in that sense? So someone, if they really resonate with this, then perhaps they should really consider
Yeah.
a religious life with the redemptions. What do you think that would be?
I have three things in mind actually, and this has been like what has kept me going.
Okay.
First is the the love of God. So
Okay.
cliche but very important. I
Yes.
I always remember Alphonsus' quote, that we use in our musical, the love of God
What is it?
obliges us to love in return. So
Okay.
love of God. We are all loved. We must also try to find ways to love God. And this is where I have found that. The second one is uh, devotion to our Mother Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I think my devotion to our Mother Mary has also sustained me in my vocation journey. And that is why wherever there is a Redemptorist, there is always Mary journeying with us. And the third is our closeness to people. Uh, I am proud to say that in our encounters with people, we have learned so much, not just about our vocation, but their life as well. So, you know, finding one's meaning of life, one's meaning of life can be found in our encounter with the people, especially the poor and the abandoned that our Father would want us to embrace. So basically, that's, I suppose, the three things that has kept me going so far in the Redemptorists.
So, love of God, devotion to our Mother Mary, and closeness to the
Closeness to
people.
people.
Yes. So, any of you feel that this is how you feel, do come and say hi to the Redemptorists. So, thank you very much, RJ. I think maybe we will just end here. Any final words that you want to say to our listeners before I say a bid farewell to you?
Yeah. First, thank you, Terence, for this unique opportunity to not just to share about my vocation and the Redemptorists of Manila, but to catch up as well.
Yes, of course. We're going to catch up a little bit more after
I
we
have,
end this.
we have always been like brothers in formation,
Yeah, for sure.
even up till now. So it's like a little catching up.
Yeah.
And then to all our listeners, thank you as well for continuously praying for us, the Redemptorists,
Yes.
and for participating in our mission work. And hopefully, you can all participate more.
Yeah.
So it has been a privilege to share in this episode. So thank you very much.
All right. So big farewell and thank you, Father RJ. Today is Wednesday. It's the most busy day over there in Baclaran, and you managed to take this time to have this chat with us. So thank you very much, and we send all our love to you and all the people over there. And I'm sure this is not the last time we will get to chat with you. So thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best.
So welcome back, and I hope you really enjoyed that interview with Fr Rico, RJ. He goes by a number of names.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and he
So
is in
as you can
charge
see,
of a big, big operation in the
yes.
Redemptorist world. Yeah,
Yes, and definitely we hope that one day we can really invite RJ here to Singapore. Perhaps we can collaborate and do a musical or something like that, or maybe next year. Next year is a very possible year that we can invite many of
absolutely.
our foreign redemptorists here
And RJ's been
to
here
do
before.
something.
He came a couple of years ago to work with the migrant communities. So he spent
Yes.
about a week here.
Yes, yes, yes. So anyway, that these are all very interesting possibilities that is going to come in the coming months or years. So just before we end our podcast, I think with this new structure, we can actually inform our listeners a little bit of the going ons in the church here in Singapore. So perhaps at this point, we are going to just tell you, the listeners, of what is going to happen here in Novena Church in the remaining months of June. So, Gerard, do you want to start it off?
Okay, we've got a little list of things that are happening in the church in the second half of the month of June. On the 16th of June is Father's Day, so very happy Father's Day in
Ooh,
advance to all the fathers out there. And during
yes,
Mass, we often say a prayer for them and give them a special blessing. So we are with
yes,
you, and we're also remembering those whose fathers are far away. And we really pray for the families and for them as well. On
yeah.
the
So,
21st of June,
wait,
sorry,
wait. So happy Father's Day to everyone, and also all the fathers, the priest. So a big happy Father's Day to everyone, all of you. All right, continue.
okay. So on the 21st of June, that's a Friday evening, there's a Teze session, meditative prayer with songs of Teze, session
Mhm.
with Teze songs. So you're most welcome to join us.
Yeah. So this generally happens at every third Friday of the month here in Novena Church. So if you like Taizé, I think every third Friday of the month, you just stay tuned. We probably will have this Taizé uh, session if nothing else happens.
Okay, and that's held in the main church?
Yeah, at the old sanctuary, in the
Okay,
main church, but at the old sanctuary.
nice, beautiful. Okay, the last week of June is extremely Redemptorist time of the year with a whole
Hmm.
bunch of Redemptorist feast days. And this year we've introduced something new, which is a Triduum before the Feast of Our Mother of Perpetual Help.
Hmm.
Uh, I'll just say a little bit about this now. The feast
Okay.
day of Novena Church is often believed to be the first Sunday of September. That's when we have the procession. However, that is not the feast of our Mother of Perpetual Help. It was a day that was chosen a long time ago, that was a fitting day to celebrate a feast day, a procession for all of Mary's intercession and to give thanks to her for all that she's done for us one time in the year, close to the feast of her nativity. But the actual feast of our Mother of Perpetual Help is on the 27th of June. So this year we will have a Triduum on the 24th, 25th, and 26th of June, Monday
Yeah.
to Wednesday. The feast day itself is on the 27th of June. That's a Thursday. Okay, and
Yeah.
there's a theme as well. There's a theme.
Yep.
Mary, God's gift to the world.
Yeah. So we invite everyone to please come and join us in this very wonderful celebration and the preparation, the Triduum preparation. Maybe just a trivia for all our listeners. You might want to understand why we do not celebrate the procession on this big feast day. I think it's because it's a very practical consideration because we have our church over in Ipoh in Malaysia, which we have heard Father Patrick Masang in the previous podcast talking about that church. They have the same feast day because it's also called the Church of Our Mother of Perpetual Help. And therefore, on this 27th of June, they have the big procession. And I believe it's because we do not want to clash between these two places. So we allow them to have the procession on the 27th of June, and we will do it normally on the first Sunday in September. Did I get it right?
Yeah, I believe that is the reason, yes.
Okay, very good.
Hmm.
And is there any
Hmm.
other celebrations that's happening in June?
Okay, and just two more at the end of the month. We're also blessed in the Redemptorist congregation on the 28th of June. That's the day after the feast of our Mother of Perpetual Help. Is the memorial of Blessed Vasil Velishovsky, Nicholas Chanetsky, and companions. Now, four of them together were martyred during the communist regime of the Soviet Union.
Hmm.
They are Ukrainian,
Yeah.
and so we remember the sacrifice that they made for the faith and for the congregation.
Yes. And just
And finally, one last blessed on the 30th of June is the memorial of Blessed Gennaro Sanelli. Blessed Gennaro was a close companion and associate of St. Alphonsus himself, and so was one of the very early members of the Redemptorist congregation. He is particularly known for the books that he wrote and for the social work that he was doing uh, in and among the slums and the port area of Napoli at that time.
okay. So I think those are all the celebrations that is happening. And we hope to see all of you here. If you're in Singapore, do come and join us in all these celebrations.
We look
All
forward
right.
to it.
So, yeah. Is there any other things before we say goodbye?
Now, we hope to see you around for the Redemptorist
Yeah.
celebrations, especially at the end of June. And the
Yeah.
years and the year is going by very quickly, and so are the months. And the annual
Yeah.
procession will be upon us, and Alphonsus will be upon us, and many,
Yeah.
many more things happening. And we see this podcast moving along. And now
Hmm.
I'm back and ready to be a part of it in a more direct way
Yes.
as well.
In fact, we are all so busy since Gerard, you came back. We really have not even had the time to just sit down, have a beer, and have a good chat. So
Oh yeah,
I'm
we should
looking
do that.
forward to that also. And so I'm hoping to cheers to you. And maybe this is just to say cheers to all our listeners.
Okay,
All
cheers.
right.
See you soon.
So adios. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Au revoir.